The Princess of Wales and the First Lady of the United States had a rather unexpected day. Instead of the usual high-level diplomatic meetings and discussions, they found themselves deep in the woods, engaged in a very different kind of summit, one involving nature crafts and building bug hotels. The event took place at Frogmore Cottage, far removed from the usual grandeur of royal visits. The princess, dressed in casual attire, dove right into the activities, eagerly rolling up her sleeves to join children aged 4 to 6. These young scouts were not just playing in the dirt. They were learning about the environment, teamwork, and creativity, all under the watchful eyes of two of the world's most famous women. In a scene that could easily be mistaken for a children's playdate rather than a political gathering, the royals worked side by side with the youngsters, collecting leaves and twigs to craft the perfect habitat for insects. There was no talk of international relations or national security, only the sound of laughter and the rustling of trees. This was a day for nature, for children, and for the kind of grassroots interaction that might seem trivial to some, but to others, it was a refreshing break from the usual high-stakes political drama. The princess and the first lady might have been world leaders, but for a few hours, they were simply two women sharing a common bond with a group of excited, imaginative kids. The scene was set for something truly unexpected as the Princess of Wales and the First Lady of the United States arrived, not in the midst of a grand diplomatic ceremony or high-profile political gathering, but for a morning of outdoor activities with young children and a few very enthusiastic squirrels. The contrast was striking. Instead of boardrooms, the two powerful women were now standing in the middle of a garden, hands covered in paint and dirt, their surroundings filled with the laughter of children and the occasional scampering of wildlife. It seemed that royal engagements had evolved far beyond the usual formalities and handshakes. Gone were the days of tight suits and speeches. Today, it was all about creating masterpieces out of leaves and twigs. Who would have imagined? Clearly, political diplomacy now had a new dimension, one that included not just summits and treaties, but nature crafts and bug hotels. It was almost comical to think that these two influential figures, known for their roles on the world stage, were now sitting on the ground with toddlers, getting their hands dirty in the pursuit of crafting little homes for insects. It was a sharp departure from what one might expect when thinking of world leaders, and yet here they were, embracing a new kind of diplomacy, one that involved creativity, nature, and a surprising amount of laughter. But hold on, folks. It turns out the Princess of Wales isn't just a lover of royal receptions and grand events. She's also a master of the fine art of crafting. And you know what? She wasn't just posing against a picturesque backdrop, looking regal as usual. No, she was getting down to business, practically hammering sticks into the ground with all the enthusiasm of a seasoned craftsperson. Her latest creation? A bug hotel, naturally. Because when you're a world-renowned royal, what's more important than providing shelter for insects? And there, right beside her, was Melania Trump, in full First Lady mode, helping the kids glue what could only be described as something vaguely resembling art. The two of them, with the utmost seriousness in their expressions, worked side by side, building this educational masterpiece. The world was watching as they carefully arranged twigs and leaves to create what could only be described as nature's finest hotel for bugs. This wasn't just arts and crafts. This was a diplomatic statement, wrapped up in glitter, glue, and a whole lot of sticks. Truly, these two were masters of their craft, proving once again that the world of politics and diplomacy is best navigated with a healthy dose of childlike creativity. And possibly a few too many glue sticks. But wait, there's more. Let's take a moment to examine the discoveries being made by our world leaders. And honestly, the world should be ready for these revelations, because building bug hotels has now officially become the hottest trend in global politics. Who else, if not the Princess of Wales and Melania Trump, could lead the charge on such groundbreaking lessons in nature? Watch as they smile at the children, as if constructing these tiny habitats for insects is just as significant as drafting international trade agreements. The irony? These two figures, accustomed to navigating global issues of war, diplomacy, and economic crises, were now bending down to carefully place twigs in the ground, all while proudly discussing how they were saving the planet. One bug at a time. Forget about climate change summits or financial bailouts. Apparently, the new solution is simply a bit of glue, some leaves, and a whole lot of eco-friendly spirit. This, it seems, is the new face of world diplomacy, making the world a better place through craft projects. Who needs complex treaties and global negotiations when you have a good glue stick and a sense of purpose? It's as if the future of international relations is now being decided by nature crafts and a shared commitment to creating bug-friendly accommodations. Welcome to the future of politics. And here they are, the stars of the show. The princess, deeply focused on a stick, attempting to create something vaguely useful out of twigs, and Melania, smiling as if her life's work is to explain how to paint on leaves. The children, meanwhile, must have been absolutely bewildered. Wait, seriously? This is how major international meetings are conducted? You'd think this was some twisted new form of diplomacy, where nature walks replace closed-door negotiations, and economic growth is measured in glue sticks and paper. The future of the world? Apparently, it's all about nature crafts now. Forget about the World Bank or the UN Security Council. If you want to solve global issues, you just need to gather some leaves and twigs, toss in a couple of world leaders, and voila, instant progress. The children, who had probably dreamed of shaking hands with presidents and prime ministers, were now sitting on the ground, probably wondering why their day of global politics looked more like an arts and crafts session at summer camp. And yet, strangely enough, they seemed to be enjoying it. Maybe because, unlike those high-stakes summits, at least this one came with a chance to make a leaf print. Still, one couldn't help but wonder, would they rather be building international relations or bug hotels? And then came the moment. The children, with wide smiles and sparkling eyes, presented their masterpieces to the princess and Melania. Little creations made of leaves and twigs, carefully glued together, proudly displayed in front of the world leaders. Can you imagine the lasting impact of these cute little projects on the future of the world? No, this isn't a joke. The children probably believed that thanks to these crafts, they now had the tools to build a better world. One leaf at a time. You should be proud of what you've made, the princess said, kneeling down to offer words of encouragement. Yes, of course. This was the greatest life lesson they'd ever received. And Melania, ever the gracious First Lady, chimed in, "Your imagination and perseverance are truly remarkable." Naturally, these phrases could have come straight from any high-level diplomatic meeting, but with a lot more glitter. After all, who wouldn't be impressed by a child's creativity? It was all about looking good, sounding good, and making sure that everyone felt great about themselves. The real message? Who needs complex policies or strategies when you can simply admire a well-crafted bug hotel? It seemed that for these two leaders, diplomacy had shifted to a much simpler, more colorful place, where the true legacy was not written in treaties, but in the paper-mâché homes of tiny insects. Well, folks, it seems we've just witnessed a revolutionary moment in global politics. Forget about managing countries and international diplomacy. Now politicians are crafting with children. And let's not forget the squirrels, who, it turns out, are also playing their part in world affairs. What did the princess say, again? You should be proud of your achievements. Yes, because what could possibly be more important for the future of the world than making bug hotels out of sticks and leaves? We can only hope that this day will go down in history as a pivotal moment for future generations, when children's crafts became the true face of diplomacy. Honestly, if we were told this was part of some larger, carefully thought-out global plan, we might just believe it. After all, who said the world can't be changed with a little glue and a few twigs? It looks like this is the new world order, one where global issues are solved not in boardrooms, but around a table covered in pine cones and glitter. It's a future where children, bugs, and a whole lot of arts and crafts will shape the fate of nations. Quite the twist on what we once thought was important. So, that was quite a day. Political leaders, usually tasked with solving the world's most pressing issues, were instead immersed in the world of arts and crafts, lost in the woods building bug hotels. Of course, this isn't going to solve the world's problems, but at least everyone involved will walk away knowing how to construct an insect habitat and, perhaps more importantly, how not to take life too seriously. Because somewhere deep within those leaves and twigs, there might just be the real answer to all the world's problems. Or maybe it's just a really good excuse to avoid talking about the economy. Either way, it was a day filled with more glue and glitter than global policy. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what we all needed.